Alright, welcome back. So, I have changed a few things. My controller came in. I got this dust collection system set up. I'll link it down below. I'm not at all remotely affiliated with Mr. Rowdy, but this seems pretty good. The only thing is, I think for my hose, it's pretty heavy because it collapses on itself when it's not stretched out, and it is a little bit loose in there. Do I think that's going to be an issue long term? No. I would highly recommend that if you're getting a vacuum system that it has a pass-through on it so that when the tool turns on, the actual vacuum turns on. That's how I'm going to have this set up. For the Journeyman, when you have this solution from Rowdy Roman, the cord doesn't stretch far enough to be able to reach to an outlet. So I've got a small extension cord going from that directly to the vacuum cleaner so that when I turn this router on, the vacuum cleaner automatically turns on. Not sure what I'm going to have in the future down there. Probably one of the fine systems. They're, from what I've seen, very similar to the Festool, just a little bit cheaper. The remote is super cool. It's got 3 different speeds on it. So this is slow, which is remarkably slow. It's got a middle, and then fast. And then the other joystick controls the Z, so up and down. I put on the extension cord for the Bluetooth adapter, and I poked that out to the front. So hopefully that will help with any kind of connectivity issues that I have in the future. So I also went ahead and labeled all the buttons because I'm a person that labels things and I know that I will forget. So hopefully that will be helpful as well. We're going to reprobe directly off of what we have already cut, and then we are going to just try to flatten this again. I've tightened up the bit, and then we're going to use the dust collection system, which magnetic, pretty cool, and then when that is not in use, seems like I'll be able to pretty easily throw it out of the way. So the bristles, when you're putting this in to this, is very difficult. I used a putty knife, finally figured that part out, and that helped a ton. That was pretty annoying, but at the end of the day, doesn't really matter that much. My connection tube was a little bit too small. It was wobbling around in there, so I just put some blue tape on there. So it'll hook in nice and secure, magnetic, slips right in. But let's see how it actually works. Might hit a screw, I don't know. MDF's pretty cheap. Let's see. If you get the Suck-It dust boot from Onefinity and then your table is only 48 inches wide, the dust boot is actually going to hang over a little bit. So I'm going to, whenever I make my enclosure, I'm going to have to offset the door a little bit to go over that. Maybe make your table like 52 inches or something like that. So here we are again. Dust boot. Awesome. Love that. Super simple. Okay. So we're going to probe Z. Oh, touch that up, leave it back down. We are not going to do that quite yet because when I moved this over to probe, I actually moved it farther than what I meant to move it. So I've got to move that back, reprobe it so that it doesn't start further to the right than I actually want it to. You know, just here to show all my mistakes. Intercept the other line where on the last video the bit dropped and there was a big gap. Something that I noticed that I did wrong was this table, the top of the table is stainless steel. So when I put on this plywood, I pre-drilled through the stainless steel and then I put down screws to attach it to the plywood. I wasn't thinking about that when I put the MDF down and I used screws that were too long. So I countersunk the screws into the MDF and then they went through the plywood and then they stopped with the stainless steel. That meant that it pushed the MDF up away from the plywood in a few areas, which means that right now the machine, if you can hear it, right there at the very end, it was actually cutting MDF. In the middle, it's just cutting air right now. All of that to say, I'm gonna have to rerun this program all over again. Alright, so we're like 90-something% done with the file, and I want to see what happens when it actually finishes. So there we go. That doesn't sound good. I don't know if y'all can hear that or not. Is it just restarting it? I don't know. I guess I programmed it to go around, and now it's going back to home. And I guess we're done. Pleased as a peach. Obviously, did not flatten the wasteboard the way that I needed to, but that is my first complete toolpath that I've run, so that's pretty cool. I am incredibly impressed by the vacuum system. So the vacuum system worked super well, and last time obviously no vacuum system, and MDF is, you know, very dusty, so dust got everywhere. This time I felt like it really handled that quite well, and I don't have any issues with that. Like I said, Mr. Rowdy, your whole system works really well, and I was a little bit concerned when it was going towards the back of the machine and then close to the boom, but it folded in on itself and just kept on trucking, and that works really well. So I am pleased with my controller, very pleased with the dust boom and then cord management. That was my biggest complaint last time, was cord management. I couldn't understand why that was a thing, but you know, you spend 70 bucks, you fix it. The screen, besides the mount, which is, the screen was turning off every single time it did a line of code, and then it would come back on. I don't know the issue with that. After the first video, I went onto the forums for Onefinity and looked around, and people are like, oh, you do computer stuff to make this flip around. Well, I don't know computer stuff. If there's like a menu on this that'll flip it around, that sounds great. But as you can see with the screen, or maybe not because of the contrast, but there is about an inch of unused space on the top and the bottom. And then the touch input, when I touch my finger to it, the actual crosshairs pop up like an inch away from my finger, so I have to like compensate for that in order to get to what I want to. That's it for today. I think I am going to get an inch bit diameter and then mess around with my model a little bit so that I can run that properly and then get this fully flattened. But other than that, it's been a great day. You know, when you're not making mistakes, you're not learning, and I am learning a ton. So if you want to follow along, subscribe, like the video, comment, anything you want. Thanks. Bye.